Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our session today. We're going to go over some tips and tricks over the new phone system. If this is your first live event, I just want to call attention to a couple of features. We cannot see you and we cannot hear you. However, you do have the ability to interact with us using the live event Q&A feature. You should see I've posted a welcome message in there. If you want to like it, that just lets us understand that you're able to use the feature and you can interact with us. If you have questions or comments or are having any technical issues, feel free to list them in that Q&A section and we'll address them as soon as we can. We do have time allotted at the end of this presentation to go over full details, the questions that you pose. We'll try to answer them along the way, but if it doesn't get answered right away, just note that we'll be doing that at the end. Thank you. I show that we have about 41 attendees. I know we're going to have several more joining us here in a few minutes. So with that, and it looks like everybody's liking that message, so you've all found the Q&A. Thank you so much. All right, without further ado, we're going to switch over to Poolan Bhatt. He's going to be presenting today and sharing his knowledge all about our phone system.
Hey, and I'm live. Thank you all for joining us. We're really excited to share some of this content with you. I know that there hasn't been a ton of training on Teams Live Telephony, so I want to thank HR for making this forum available to us to bring this information out to y'all. So today we're going to talk about a few different things, and Amanda, if you can get the next slide. First, we're going to go through just the basics of Teams telephony. How to make calls, how to do different things, and I'll show you a live demo of a lot of that. Then we're going to talk a little bit about hardware and the overview, and just some tips there as you start interacting with telephony. And then we'll finally finish off with Q&A. So just to level set for everyone, what we're really talking about today is not just Microsoft Teams, but our migration from Avaya phone systems to Microsoft Teams telephony. So Teams voice is how we usually refer to that as. So when we talk about Teams voice, we're talking about the ability to make telephone calls and receive phone calls on Microsoft Teams application. The cool thing is that wherever you have Microsoft Teams and wherever you access Microsoft Teams is where your phone is going to be. So that's a huge benefit from the way it was before. Next slide, Amanda. So this slide is just here for a couple of seconds. These are the things that we really are going to talk about. And what I'd rather do than, just kind of to discuss each one of these is show you exactly how to use each and every one of these things. So with that, I'm going to make my second monitor here available. And you see her. So, hi, Amanda. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is making calls. So before we really get started on that, I want to call this button right here to your attention. It's the calls button. You all have access to it. If you haven't been migrated to Teams telephony yet, we will communicate that through your department head, your IT resources of when you're going to be migrated. Several departments, divisions, and colleges on campus have already migrated over. So it's a pretty exciting time, but if you haven't already, you're not going to see all the features that I'm going to show you today, but you can always refer back to the recording of this video once you do have access to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So first things first, no more dialing 9, no more dialing 8, no more dialing 1 or figuring out if that requires a 9 or not. So that's pretty exciting. Your cell phone. One of the questions we get a lot is that if I have Teams telephony on my cell phone and I make a call using my cell phone, does that mean that my cell phone number is going to show up? It's not. It's going to be your work 972-883 number that will show up on other person's caller ID. So just wanted to clarify that from the get-go. When we talk about phone and making phone calls, really, we're breaking that up into several different areas. It's no longer remembering somebody's phone number. It's no longer remembering an extension. We're doing something called click to dial by name or name dialing. And we're going to do, just regular old phone number dialing too. So I'll show you all three of those But really it works in a pretty intuitive way. So if I wanted to call Amanda, for example, I'm not going to because then it'll kick her off this live meeting, but I would just type her name. And that's what we mean by call by name. And then I would just hit the video button or the audio button, depending on what kind of call I want to make to her. And that's going to allow me to call Amanda. So again, I didn't have to know her phone number. I didn't have to know her extension. I was just able to make that call. Now, if I want to make a phone call, just, let's say it's not necessarily that I'm calling Amanda or somebody at UTD, but I want to call my, a potential student maybe, or their parents, or, it doesn't matter. I would just come here into the calls button, and there's a dial pad on the bottom left, and you just type in the phone number or copy and paste it, whatever works for you, and you hit the call button. And oh, yep. Since we're live in progress, I'm not going to do that. But that's really exactly what you would do, and that's it. You make the call, and the call is going to go through. If to receive a call, it's actually pretty simple as well. So all we have to do, and I'm sorry that I'm looking down. Here we go. And you're going to see on my screen that call is going to come up. And no, actually, you know what? I went on Do Not Disturb. So that's why it's not letting the call come through. But I'm going to do that again. And there we go. Now you see this bottom right corner. There's a box that shows up, and it gives me a caller ID and the phone number of the person. I can either choose to answer or hang up. I'm going to go back to Do Not Disturb so nobody else can call me. But that's another feature. You go on Do Not Disturb, and you're not going to get phone calls. So just, if you want to get rid of those phone calls, just go on Do Not Disturb. But that's an important feature to have. So if you're presenting or doing something important, you don't want your calls to just pop up. And the third thing I talked about was click to dial. And what I mean by that is, let's say we go to any old website, right? Here's our beautiful UT Dallas campus, and there's a phone number right here. I don't have to copy paste that, write it down, and then put it in Teams. I can just click on it, and then I would choose Microsoft Teams. And again, I'm not going to do that because it's going to end our conversation here. But if as soon as I hit that call button, it would make that phone call to UT Dallas. And it's not just for UT Dallas. Let's say we're planning a party. It's an example I use all the time. Here I am on Google Maps. I found a party city that I really want to. Again, I can click their phone number right here and do the same exact thing. That's a click to dial. So we talked about making calls. We talked about receiving calls. Next, I want to talk about all your devices, right? So, hey, Bullen, you're on your headset. You're not going to have your headset on 24 hours a day. So how do you hear a call if that's the case, right? So if you go into your settings section and click on devices, what you're going to notice is that there's a secondary ringer. You can have your computer speakers set as your secondary device, and you would just click on that there. So your primary would be your headset, your Bluetooth headset or whatever, your USB headset would show up here. And as a secondary ringer, you would do that. And what that allows you to do is make sure that you can hear your phone call ring, even if your headset's not on you. Some people use those Bluetooth speakers, the tiny little speakers. You can have that enabled as your ringer if you want to. There's a lot of little options like that. So that's all about devices and how you set a second ringer. Just want to call out a couple more things. So over here, if you go into general, a lot of these things you used to have to call IT, call the help desk, call our telecom group, and they would have to do for you. Now you can do a lot of these things on your own. So if you go down onto general settings, there's a button that you will see that's called delegation. Delegates can make and receive calls on your behalf, or you can be a delegate for somebody else. This is where you'd go to set that up. So for example, I'm going to be out of the office tomorrow, Saturday. Amanda and some of my other colleagues are super hard workers. They're going to be working on Saturday. So while I'm out, I want them to receive my phone calls. Here's how you'd set that up. You go to Manage Delegates, and from here, you have a couple of different options. If you're a delegate for somebody, so for example, if I set Amanda up as my delegate, she would show up here. But if you want to set up your own delegate, so if I want Amanda to be my delegate, I would just come in here and type in her name. Wrong keyboard. And now I get to set permissions for Amanda, things that the delegate can do on your behalf. She can make a call on my behalf, so you want to be careful with that one. She can receive calls on my behalf, and she can change call and delegate settings, so she can change it to others. Now, this might be a great idea for an administrative assistant or somebody like that who may, if I'm an admin for Amanda and I'm going on vacation, maybe I have somebody else that can back me up, and I don't want to have Amanda have to go through this process. You can initially set this as a process for them. So that's all about delegation. And something similar to delegation is setting up rules. So you might all be familiar with Outlook rules. In Teams for telephony, you have something very similar. So if I go into, again, still in settings, and I go to the call section, call answering rules. So you can set up rules for Outlook just like you can, you can set up rules for your telephony just like you can for Outlook. So I can say that, hey, every time a call comes to me, you can set it to also ring to no one else, a new contact or a new group. So a new contact would be, again, this is another way to set up a simple delegation. I could type in Amanda here, and she would show up. Or I could do, I cancel that, a group. With a group, I can set Amanda. And let's say I want to set up somebody else too. So I'm really important, right? And a lot of people need to answer my phone calls. I'm kidding. And it could just be that, you have a central number that you want to set something like this for. And then let's say, so now I have 3 people set here. I have access to be able to change this setting as well, the ring order. So I can make it to where it rings to all of them at the same exact time. Or you can change it to in the order of this, right? So it would go, if I did order of above, it would go to Amanda, then Raleigh, then Brian, and then you can always you can save that, and then you can always come back to it and change it again. And right here, edit, and then I can add another person too. If let's say I'll add Joseph, and now he's part of the fun. So there we go. We're gonna turn that off so that they don't get my calls. And then the second rule is if unanswered. So if a phone call, so this is literally ringing at the same time it's ringing for me. If the call is unanswered, right? So that means it rings to me. Right now I have it set to no one else, so it's just ringing to me. If I don't answer, what happens? I can have it go to voicemail. I can have it go to somebody else, but just like we did a group, after I don't answer, it can go to all these people. So hopefully this shows you a little bit about all how powerful this tool really is and what all you can do with it. And it's pretty cool. Over here in ringtones, you have some options. You can have calls that are for you. So calls that are directly coming to my phone number will show up here. I can set the ringtone specifically for that. If a call is forwarded to me from somebody else, I can have that show up here. And if I'm a delegate on a call, I can have that show up here. And that's pretty much it about settings and all that fun stuff. Voicemail is also right here, so you can configure your voicemail. And there's all sorts of rules that you can set on that. We're not going to go through that a whole lot right now. But this is where you'd come to record your greeting. Again, it wants to take over my computer. I'm not going to let it do that. And back to settings. Okay. Calls, configure voicemail, but I can also do a lot of different things like let the caller record a message, end the call without playing your greeting. So let's say I don't want anybody to be able to leave a voicemail for me, right? Probably as an individual, I probably don't want to do that, but maybe I have a common phone that, where we don't want to get voicemail. We just want to set something that says, hey, thanks for calling. We're open from this time to this time. Please call us back at that time. We don't want them to have the option to leave a voicemail. So you could actually use this option, and it would be great for something like that. We're not going to go through every single one of them, but there's a lot of powerful options you have even in voicemail. Your out of office set greetings, you can set those to when your Outlook is set to out of office. That's when that greeting will play. So pretty intuitive there. Now that we're migrating to Exchange Online as well with our Teams telephony migration, you have the access, you have ability to do a lot of things like that here as well. So lots of cool stuff here. And then, there's also things that you can do within a call. Okay, let's say that I have a call coming in. I answer that call, and this is a screen that will come up. Now we're in having our conversation. We're in the middle of a call. And what we're doing, you see several different options here. When you click on more actions, you have the option to hold the call. When you push that, the person on the other end will hear hold music. You can transfer a call, so that's forwarding a call to somebody else. For example, if I'm answering this call and then it needs to go to somebody else, I would hit transfer. And what that will do is bring up people that I want to transfer it to, and I could just type their name, or if I've already done that before, it'll show up here. So let's say that I want to transfer a call to one of my other colleagues. I'll just type in their name, do that, and then hit the transfer button. And what that will do is transfer the call to them as soon as I hit the transfer button. Or if they have, let's say, their cell phone listed on the global address list, it'll show up over here too, so I could transfer it to their cell phone. Or if I just wanted to go to their voicemail, I can click the voicemail option, and it'll go there. Some of the other options that we have are, besides transfer, we can, I'm going to hit resume so that we get back to the call. I have the option to consult and then transfer. That works the same exact way as transfer, but it allows me to talk to that person first before I transfer the call to them. And so it works very similar to the transfer feature. Or I could park the call. And what park the call allows me to do is I hit the park call button. It will give me a 2-digit number that I can use, as you can see right here, code 10. And I can come back to my, and really what this is intended to be is it allows you to, let's say, as an example, it's 5 o'clock and I need to continue this conversation that I'm having, but I want to have it on my cell phone Teams app instead of doing it from my work computer because I need to be walking out or driving or something else. Then I could use this park call feature. I'd park the call. It gives me a 2-digit phone number, and then in the device that let's pretend like I switched over to my cell phone, and if I hit this speed dial button over here, there's a button called Park Calls. I would click that and type in that 2-digit code that we saw over here. In this case, it's 10. And as soon as I pick up, that call will be transferred to my other device. The user experience on the other end is they'll be put on hold, and they'll hear hold music. So you just want to make sure you call that out to them. And then you hit the pickup button, and now I'm on my way on my cell phone and answering this call on my cell phone. Next, I want to kind of talk about just our Teams app as it pertains to the calls. You have some different features here. So if you notice right here, the first section you get to is speed dial. So let's say Amanda's somebody I call all the time. I can just type in her name and hit add. And you can see that she got added to my speed dial. This other contacts group also gets created as soon as you create anything in Teams call side. And what other contacts is pretty much your frequently used contacts. So people you call all the time or things like that will always be automatically populated in here by Teams. So I can add another one. So let's say Joseph is also somebody I call all the time. I can hit add. Now let's say I have like this Teams telephony friends circle group, right? And I want to create a new group for them. Maybe I don't, they're not like part of my direct team or something like that, but I just want to create a new group. So I'm going to call this Teams telephony expert group. Right, I misspelled telephony, but that's okay. So if you notice, it kind of created that group right here. And what I can do is come in here, click the 3 dots, and add a contact to this group. And let's say that for me is Nurali. So I'm going to put his name here. And now I have multiple groups that are actually meaningful, that mean something to me. I can minimize them, but you get the idea. So this is pretty powerful, and it's really nice to have. If you had groups set up in Skype for Business and in Teams, they will automatically show up here. So if you had groups already set up for your chats and things like that, they will automatically show up here. The next thing is contacts. So anybody that's on your Outlook, so I automatically added these to my contacts list because I just added them on my speed dial. So it figured that they're important. But anybody that's on my Outlook contacts will show up here, or I can even add new contacts. And it's just that. History talk, that's exactly what it is. It's a history of everything that you've kind of done, all your outbound, if you miss calls, all that's going to show up right here. And the final thing is voicemail. If you have a voicemail like I do right here, You can click on it, and apparently I never hung up that call, that test call. So it transcribed everything for us. So Amanda, if you need a transcription of this call, of this webinar, I think you got it right here. But that's what that is. So you can tell that it does a nice job of transcribing that for you, or you can just hit the play button, play it. Notice this 1x over here. If it's a really long message like this one, and I don't have time to be listening to the whole thing, I can speed this up to 2x, and listen to it a lot faster. Or I can slow it down if somebody talks really fast and you really can't hear them. Then you can slow it down a little bit by hitting the 0.5x. So that's a little bit about voicemail, and really that's it. This is it. This is all Teams telephony is. And so what I'm gonna do now is ask Amanda if we can switch back to our PowerPoint. And while she's doing that, once your group gets migrated, what's going to happen is that we're gonna go ahead and send you some guides with step-by-step instructions on how to do all of this. I've always said this, but if you call the help desk, they'll be happy to help you through any of this. If you have questions about setting up your voicemail, your park calls, how do you set up favorites, groups, speed dial, etc. We'll definitely show you how to do that. One thing I didn't highlight on this was 911. This is always a question that we get, that if I use a headset, can I still make 911 calls? Yes, you can. If once we move to Teams telephony, what if internet goes down? Will I not have access to 911? That's accurate. Just like our Avaya system was, believe it or not, even though it had a cable connection and it was a desk phone, it was also based on internet, right? There was no like old school telephone cable that went into it. It was your network cable that went to the back of that Avaya phone. So that Avaya phone was also based on internet. If internet went down, that Avaya phone would have gone down as well. So same thing with this. But over here, you have the added benefit. If our network does go down, you have your cell phone on you. You can still make UTD calls on your cell phone and receive them. So you can still use that. One note of caution, please don't make 911 calls from the Teams app on your cell phone. If you need to make 911 calls from your cell phone, make it from your cell carrier. It's just that this is the GPS base and it will get your first responders exactly where they need to be. So I do want to call that out. If you're on your cell phone, use your cell phone for 911, not your Teams app. However, you can use it for some reason if you need to. You absolutely can use that. Okay, next slide, please. Here's a quick guide that I was talking to you guys about. There's one on headsets. How do you configure all your headsets? And there's one also on Teams Voice that goes over how to transfer a call, how to make a call on the right side if you look, how to park and retrieve a call, that's park, and how to configure your voicemail in Teams. So all that will be coming to you as you transition to Teams Voice. How am I doing on time? So it looks like we have a little bit more time. So we are going to go ahead and go to the next slide, and I'm going to slow us down a little bit and talk a little bit about hardware. And what we're going to talk about is we're not going to talk about actual hardware, what's the difference between hardware and software, and one per person. So we'll start kind of backwards. I don't know why I didn't fix this. One per person is probably where we'll start. So essentially, UT Dallas is going to fund one headset. Notice I said headset, not handset. One headset per person. Please, when you go through the selection process, and as that happens, make sure you pick out something that you need, not that you necessarily want or something that looks cool, because I guarantee each one of those has a different purpose, and we're gonna be there to kind of walk you through what those purposes are for each type of headset or handset that's available and when you should use what. For the most part, we're going to recommend that everybody get the 5500 series. It's a USB device. It works great. You don't have to remember to charge it. There's a lot of benefits to having that USB device. But if you really need something wireless, then we're going to recommend the 4400 or 4000 series. It's also a great option. It just has it's just Bluetooth instead of USB. So you do have options, but just be cognizant of that fact that it's one per person. If you're really if this scares you, right? If the whole headset thing scares you, and you're like, I really need a desk phone. I don't know how to. I'm going to go back to several things, right? There are absolutely cases where a desk phone is necessary, a common area, somewhere that you need a centrally located phone that somebody can just pick up and dial. Yeah, those are all great use cases. In my office, in my cube, do I need a desk phone? And that's a question that you're really going to have to ask yourself. Is that necessary? And for the most part, it's not. And the reason why isn't just because it's the most expensive device out there. Those desk phones are expensive, but they're not any better or any different than these things. Your computer is a lot more powerful than that desk phone ever will be, right? But the other thing is with your computer, if I'm having a phone conversation with Amanda, and we're talking about this live event and we're planning this thing, I can go and say, hey Amanda, let's escalate this to a screen share real quick, or hey, can we do a video share real quick? Maybe she wants to show me something that's in her hand. Like let's do a video share real quick, or if she wants to show me something that's on her screen, let's do a screen share real quick, right? You can't do that with a desk phone. Then what you would have to do is hang up and say, Amanda, I'm going to have to hang up with you. And I'm going to have to call you back. So just be aware of that. We're here to help. We can guide you through that process. Okay, next slide, please. And we're going to go through some of these pretty quickly, but Bluetooth dongle versus Bluetooth. So this one is an important conversation. I'm trying to find. Okay, looks like might have lost it. Okay, so Bluetooth dongle. Every one of your, if you get a Bluetooth device, right, like this one, right, this is the 4000 series. It's going to come with a Bluetooth dongle that's like big, and I had it right here. I don't know what I did with it, so I apologize. But it's about that big, and it's right there. So the Bluetooth dongle, what it allows you to do is it gives a much crisper sound quality. Use that. If you got the Bluetooth dongle with your headset, please plug that into your USB port on your computer. These headsets themselves also have Bluetooth built into them, and that is really intended for your cell phone. So you can connect these devices to your cell phone and to your desktop. Use the Bluetooth dongle for your desktop and use the native Bluetooth that's built into these things for your cell phone. That allows you to have both connections at the same exact time, and you can answer either one of them. So that's all going to be available. So the Bluetooth dongle is your friend. Audio quality issues. I mean, if you connect just using regular Bluetooth from the headset, and if what I'm saying is Greek, don't worry about it. When we help you set this up, we'll make sure we walk you through it. But if you just connect the Bluetooth directly to your the audio on your computer, I don't know why, but the sound quality is different than using the Bluetooth dongle. So if you understand nothing about what I just said, and I'm sorry if that's true, just remember to use the Bluetooth dongle and download the app. And we're going to talk about the app here in just a second. So next slide, please. I want to introduce you guys to some conference devices. That's a question we get all the time as well. There's really three conference phones that are available with this. The first one and two we're going to talk about at the same exact time are the Trio 8800 and the Trio 8500. They look exactly the same. It's that star phone that you're seeing on your screen. The only difference between the two is the range for each one of them. So the larger one has a 20-foot range. The smaller one has a 14-foot range. And that's really the only difference. These can be daisy chained up to 3 of them. So if you have a really large room, you can do that. And the cool thing is that on top of them will be a team skin. So whoever logs into that conference phone, all their meetings will show up and you just hit the join button on them and it works just the same exact way. If you don't want to do that, if you just want that number to always be there, that's fine too. If you don't want people to sign in and out of these devices, that's okay. If you just want a common phone number that just is always there, that's all right. You can do that too and just dial in from your computer to this, just like you're kind of used to right now. And then another device is this small little Callisto 7200. I don't know if Amanda, we lost a picture for that one, but if we did, that's okay. It's just a tiny little box. And really what that's intended for is a really small conference room or a personal space that you use as a conference area, right? Maybe 4, 5, 6 people max. Those things have a battery life on them. And if you just to look at what I'm talking about, you can type in Callisto 7200 on your Google, and it will show you the picture. I apologize that the picture didn't show up, but it's a personal conference phone. It's up to 6 people. What I've seen in a lot of areas and departments do is maybe order a few of those to check out to people. So, you know, if you're kind of if you kind of need to huddle around somebody's desk or something like that, these are great devices for that. They have a 360-degree horizontal mic pickup up to 10 feet, so you know 10 feet on all sides. It's pretty cool. Excellent noise and reverb rejection, meaning that if there's other noises going on around it, you know what? I have one. I don't know why I didn't think of that to begin with. So here it is. This is what it looks like. This is how big my hand is, and that's how big it is. So that's all it is. There's a USB cable attached to it. You can undo it and just use it as Bluetooth if you want, but I'm a huge fan of plugging things in because the audio quality is always going to be superior. Okay, at 0.84 pounds, I can hold it with my 2-finger, okay, balancing act there. So that's what that is, and it's a great option as well. Let us know if you want more, if you have more questions. Next slide, please. And then we also have some video solutions that we can recommend for you. These are not going to be centrally funded. So if you want your conference room to be elevated to a video room, we're testing these devices right now. They're great. It's called the Poly Studio series. They have a dual monitor hookup on them, so that means you can have 2 large TVs next to each other. It's really, and I'm sorry, we lost the video feed on that one too, but I'm going to do something really bad here. Show you. That's what it looks like on a TV. That right there is the X50. It's just a sound bar, and what it does is you hook it up to your TV. You can hook it up to 2 TVs at the same time. You can have people's video feed on one TV and what you're actually content that you're presenting on the other side. We're working on making them work with click shares if you guys are used to that already. But it's, again, another thing that's available to you if you want to explore that. They're not very pricey, but for what you're kind of getting. But at the same time, they have a video camera built into it. They have audio built into it, and it's great quality. And they have a microphone array built into it as well. So you get all of that in that one tiny solution, and they work great for that. So the larger one, X50, you can, it's great for a room with up to 10 people. It'll zoom in on the person talking. If as you move, it'll move with you. So it does a lot of that cool stuff. And then there's also Studio X30. And that's great for a room that's maybe smaller with 6 people. But I definitely see a lot of use cases for this. And the good thing is that they don't require a PC. You don't have to hook them. You can hook them up to your PC, but you don't have to. And and the last thing is the Eagle Eye Cube camera. So there's some high definition cameras that are available to you. If you already have a microphone and a speaker system set up and you just want a camera for the team's video, we can help you identify that solution as well. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through the rest of my slides. The only other things, and I'll kind of briefly go over this, and then we'll go into Q&A. Right here. So with each hardware device, you're going to get one of these little pamphlets, and these things show you exactly how to set them up with your cell phone and how to set them up with your computer. How to Bluetooth them into all your devices, and also it gives you a great idea of what all the buttons are for. Keep these things, don't throw them away. They're a lifesaver. I've used mine a lot, and they're tiny. They'll fit into your backpack. So I really want to show my appreciation for everybody joining us. Thank you for taking the opportunity to have me spend a little bit of time with you talking through this. I know it's important, and I sincerely appreciate it. We're excited about this project. We want to make it seamless and easy for our users. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to call me directly. You can call the help desk, of course, at any time, and we're happy to help you as well. Thank you, Amanda, for hosting.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to be ending the live session now. Hope you have a great day.